Hey guys, my name is Ozzy and I teach you guys how to save money when building computers. Growing up, I had anxiety that led to a couple of panic attacks. Thankfully, God has redeemed me from those panic attacks, but I still feel anxious from time to time. When that happens, calming music, spending time outside, just getting out of my own head helps out a lot. I clearly can't take all of you outside with me, though that would be pretty cool, but hopefully I can put some of that peace into my content. Inspired by Danny's silent PC builds, here's a calming $300 new gaming PC build. I hope you enjoy. Real quick, I want to shout out the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. As a member, you get access to high-quality lessons that range from creative topics to practical, everyday tips. After you build your PC, hopefully using one of my videos, and want to start streaming, video editing, or making your own content, I recommend watching the Video Editing Techniques Guide by Sean Dykink or the Graphic Design Basics lesson by Ellen Lupton. I have been working on my storytelling lately to make my videos more personable, so a personal favorite lesson of mine is Storytelling for Leaders by Keith Yamashita. He talks in depth on how to create captivating narratives, and I think that's something every content creator should know how to do effectively. Skillshare is great for honing old skills or picking up new skills at your own pace. It's affordable, less than $10 a month with an annual subscription, but for a limited time you can get a 2-month free trial for Skillshare's premium membership using the link in the description. Join now and let me know what lessons you guys are interested in trying in the comments below. Alright, back to the build. The processor is the Pentium G5400. It's 2 cores and 4 threads, and I got it for $40 open box. I do recommend going for the i3-9100F if you have a little bit extra money. For RAM, we have 8 gigs of DDR4 for around $30. I definitely recommend 2 4GB sticks instead of a single 8GB stick like you see here, so definitely do as I say and not as I do. For storage, we have a 120GB SSD for about $18. It's enough to hold some small games, but definitely go for 240 if you can afford it. Our power supply is the Gigabyte P450B. You want at least 400 watts for this computer and a well-rated unit, so expect to spend $40 to $50 here. I chose a basic H310M HDV motherboard. It's nothing spectacular, but it'll work with the Pentium and can support up to an i5 comfortably. It also has an M.2 slot. The video card is the RX 570 4GB, a great entry-level card that will pair well with our Pentium CPU and only about $130. All of these parts will be housed inside of the DIY PC DIY S07 case. You'll find a lot of stuff in the motherboard box, but I only take out the I/O plate, the SATA cables, and the motherboard itself. I recently invested in a box cutter, which has made opening boxes so much easier. Definitely beats using a butcher knife. This box holds the Pentium CPU and the infamous Intel stock cooler. I think the Pentium looks really cute, so here's a close-up shot of the processor. So I installed my CPUs kinda odd. I line up the semicircle grooves at the top of the chip with the grooves in the socket, and it falls right into place. Cool, let's install the cooler. So line up the CPU cooler holes and push down in each opposite corner. The click is really satisfying. And now the RAM. Now the heat spreaders were really cheap on this, I won't lie, but installation is easy and the click is also quite satisfying. The beauty that is the DIY S07. I want to take a moment and highlight this case. It's $30 before shipping, fits ATX motherboards, has a side panel window, and a mesh front that fits 3 fans. In the words of Demi Lovato, she's really good. Seriously though, it's a great case if you're on a tight budget. Totally gets my recommendation. This is the cheapest manual I've ever seen, but hey, it's necessary to keep costs low. I start by installing the I/O shield in the case because I know that I'll forget if I don't. Trust me, rebuilding a PC because you forgot to install the I/O plate is as awful as it sounds. I line up the motherboard with the I/O shield to see where the case standoffs would go. These are meant to be thumb screwable, but sometimes standoffs are too stiff to screw in cheaper cases. I have this awesome standoff screw adapter that saved me countless times. I definitely recommend it if you build computers often. We can secure the motherboard with screws and then start the cable management process. A heads up, I'm really bad at cable management. It's probably the most difficult and time-consuming portion of PC building for me. I've improved, but I desperately wish it was an intuitive task for me. Maybe it's because I mostly use budget cases and they generally have bad cable management options. Who knows? If you guys have any tips, please let me know. Here, I'm just routing the front panel connectors to the bottom portion of the case and then plugging them in. Sweet, now it's time to install the power supply. Firstly, I didn't know Gigabyte made power supplies. I'm guessing they're not the OEM, but it was still an interesting surprise. This power supply has nice, thin black cables, which make a bigger difference than you would expect. I did struggle a bit fitting the power supply in the case attic, but we made it work. And here's even more cable management. As you guys can see, it does take me a long time to actually manage my cables. It's a good idea to do this as you go to keep your build organized and clean. It makes it easier on you when it's time to plug all your cables in as well. I'm not sure if this is unpopular, but I actually prefer twist ties to zip ties when managing my cables. They're a little bit more forgiving. The SSD fits very nicely on the right side of the case. You screw it from behind and there's a solid cutout for the SATA data and power cable too. I totally recommend M.2 drives if you can. Less cables just mean a cleaner build. I rerouted a few things to prep the wires for installation before I installed the crown jewel, the RX 570. So the moment we've all been waiting for. The RX 570 is just a card that won't die. At $130, it's the cheapest video card that makes sense for a brand new build. This power color model will look great with the all black aesthetic that we inadvertently have going on as well. Here, I just want to confirm the video brackets that I'm removing since these ones can't be reinstalled. And here comes another satisfying click. I cleaned up the cables and now it's time for the best part. You don't get to do this very often on budget PC cases. Good job, guys. We did it. Now let's go play some games. If you guys made it to this part of the video, then put a smiley face in the comments. It can be an emote, emoji, ASCII art, whatever you want. So I've never done something like this before, and I'm open to criticism, improvement. What do you think I could have done better? Did you enjoy it? Also let me know in the comments. As far as the build goes, I think it's solid for $330. The major downside is that if you don't have a Micro Center near you, you can't get some of the deals that I was able to get. If you're lucky enough to live near a Micro Center, then this is a solid machine, but for just a little bit more, you can get some nice upgrades to make it a lot faster. This includes an upgrade to the i3-9100F, getting a larger SSD, and then maybe fitting in 16 gigs of RAM as opposed to 8. If you can't afford those, I highly recommend it. This video is more so proof of concept that you can build a $300-ish brand new gaming computer. As always, if you guys like this video, then leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. And make sure you follow me on all my socials at OzTalksHW on literally everything. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.